Hi, it's Karma here. Getting ready to present Lynn
There we
Noel
go.
with some live songs from Sagas, including Veluspa. I will put up her website and all of her information as soon as I'm back from this. So enjoy.
So if you put it on live, when you're done, actually you can tag me. If you're Facebooking this, I'm at Facebook.com/Gudrid the Wanderer.
I follow you already.
Oh, you do follow me already. Great. Yeah, I got followers. That's fine. That's great. Yes, and this is my chief. This is Philip the Follower. How about a hand for Philip the Follower? So I'm Gudrid the Wanderer, Songs of the Sagas. And I'm just curious because I have some stuff that I love so much that I do it several times. Are there people that have been here and seen me once or twice already today, or are you all new? All right, so you might hear a couple of things that you've heard before, but that's okay because some of them will get to sing. So I'm here to answer the burning question, what did the Vikings sing? Everybody, that's a burning question, right? You're all dying to know. Okay, great. Again, Lynn Noel, Gudrid the Wanderer. I have been role-playing the first Viking woman in the New World since 1991, and I tell the story of how Lanza Meadows became a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I particularly tell the story of the two artifacts that were found there, the spindle whorl and the ring-headed pin, and how she dropped them. So I just told that at 11:30. And because I am a singer, storyteller, heritage interpreter, I've been fascinated with Gudrid herself because in the land of the sagas, Gudrid is one of the most significant singers in all of the Icelandic sagas because she is mentioned as singing for the seeress to prophesy the future. I'm going to pull this apart a little bit here. So, of course, any singer is just busting with the question of what did she sing? So I can tell you a little bit about Icelandic instruments, about Viking Age instruments, but I am not myself fully an instrumentalist, and so I do not have a full collection of the Viking Age instrument petting zoo. But what I will tell you is that there are sort of four ways in which we can think about what Vikings sing. We can look for, if we're very lucky, 2 or 3 pieces that have notated music from the period. We can look for texts and references to those texts that describe the way that Viking music sounded. We can look for stuff in the 500 years after the Vikings that people reproduced. And then we can look at the last 500 or 600 years of how people have, about once a generation, there is a Viking revival. You're in the middle of one right now. And so there are some people out there who are deeply, deeply interested, as you can see by all of the people who, like me, are in Viking garb this weekend. So how about a shout out to everybody who actually wore wool today? Yay, Viking woolly people. That's right, Vikings and climate change, it's a thing. So I'm going to start with one of the oldest pieces of notated music that we have. It's called Drumtemigen Drum, and we have it as a rune stave, and if you're used to lines and dots, all you'll really see is runes with square dots above and below. So it's quite a trick to try to reconstruct a tune from this, but many people have worked on this for many, many years. So I'm going to give you Drumtemigen Drum. And Philip, can you reach my script? So I just want to check that Old Norse for one line. I muffed it this morning, and I'm enough of an egregious pedant that I don't want to. She's Facebook live streaming me, and I really want to make sure that I get the Old Norse right.
Would this be Icelandic?
So what I'm going to sing for you now is actually Old Norse. Okay. And somebody asked me earlier, is Icelandic the same as Old Norse? The answer is it's the closest thing that is spoken today. Yep. And of course the script only has the English in it. Sorry. drømte mig en drøm i natt, og silk og ærlig pål. Sare for til glatt i natt, og sintere færlig hål. Nå vekner den klare morgen. I dreamed a dream all in the night, all in my silken shawl. I sallied forth, so smooth and light, as sunset's beams did fall. I awake to the clear, bright morning. Unto the young folk did I fly, as bound for song and dance. So trustingly I met his eye, and took his hand in hand. I wake to the clear, bright morning. All the others saw us there, they smiled and laughed anew. At length the dance did halt and stare, we danced on, just we two. I wake to the clear, bright morning. I dreamed a dream all in the night, all in my silken shawl. I sallied forth, so smooth and light, as sunset's beams did fall. I wake to the clear, bright morning. Thank you. Isn't that wonderful? It's 1,000 years old, and yet it's timeless. At sunset, she goes out to the dance. She takes her lover's hand. There's that wonderful moment when everybody smiles to see the lovers, and they're dancing as if they're alone. It could happen today. It has happened to me any number of times on the dance floor. And it's a real timeless moment that music, song, and dance are so essential and necessary to the human condition. It's what makes us human, is to share that moment of timeless intimacy with one another. So I'm eventually going to try to get this so it's not quite so bumpy. If I put this up closer to my mouth, then you can turn it down. There we go. Okay, great. So every now and then, we're lucky that we can find actual words and a tune. What do you do if you don't have that? Well, we are fortunate that in the Viking Age, which for most of us starts around the time of the sacking of the Lindisfarne and Iona monasteries in about the 800s, and then the expansion into the British Isles, into the Orkneys, into the Shetlands, and about 850 they settled Iceland. About 980 Eric the Red moved on to Greenland, and popularly the end of the Viking Age for most scholars will call it at the Battle of Hastings, Battle of Stamford Bridge, 1066. So that's the time period we're talking about, okay? So first you say, well, what do we have that's reliably 9th and 10th century? Well, a lot of that stuff wasn't written down until afterwards. The Codex Regius, the one I just sang, is written down in 1300, but reliably believed to be 9th or 10th centuries. Here is one from Egil's Saga, actually written by Egil Skallagrimsson, so we know the author, and we know that he lived in about 975, 980. Eric was a warrior poet, a skald. And are there any other skalds in the audience today? I'm just curious. No? Okay. There are wonderful skalds here in North America. I'm not myself a member of the SCA, but I have been privileged to work with many people from the barony of Carolingia who have been my material culture committee. It takes a Viking village to put something like this together. And so for about 25 years, I've had folks who have been coaching me on copying the Hedeby tunic, on how to choose the brooches, on which beads are okay and which ones you can't use. So I shout out to my material culture team. Skia Lawrence is here with us today. She's the one who got me booked, so yay, thank you, Skia, for that. And so from some of the folks from Carolingia are wonderful skalds. They know, I have been privileged to hear folks who tell a great deal more of Egil Saga than I do. So this one is a little poem that really speaks to the Viking ship. The tune I have is from an Icelandic group that actually lists it as Icelandic traditional, so I haven't been able to really find a time period for it, but it certainly is that modal, very, very old feel. So I'll give this one thumbs up for authenticity. So this is That mil min modir. My mother said to me to go buy a ship. I'm down with that. I'm good. When my mother tells me to buy a ship, I always buy a ship. Right? Always listen to your mother when she tells you to buy a ship. Right? But maybe not the rest of it.